Back in February, I made a list of the 25 best games to play on PS5. Since then, already a ton of new experiences have come to the console, either through new titles or new updates to games from the last generation. While more and more games take advantage of this new hardware, there's already plenty of fun games to be played. So, let's talk about the ones you should check out. This list was compiled after plenty of time, energy, and thought, and represents what I believe to be the very best that the PS5 has to offer. There's been a lot of changes made since the last video, so I've also included whether a game is new to the list, or if it isn't, what's changed, meaning how far they moved up or down depending on the title. So without further ado, here are my picks for the 25 best PS5 games. When it comes to games involving motorbikes and the like, there's never really been a clear-cut head of the pack. But with MotoGP 21, you can play the most smooth and polished motor racer ever made. For those who are checking the series out for the first time, there's plenty of accessibility options to help newcomers, but there's also plenty of content for veterans of the genre to sink their teeth into. It's complex, it's fun, and it's looking great on PS5. If you're looking for a gorgeous destruction derby game, look no further than WRECKFEST. Like most racing games on PS5, it takes full advantage of the DualSense's enhanced sensitivities, as well as lightning fast load times and 4K 60fps glory. Beyond the buzzwords, the devs over at Bugbear did a great job enhancing the visual fidelity overall. Textures are more detailed, shadows are less pixelated, and everything feels like it's been brought up a notch as if the PC version were switched from high to ultra. It's plain fun, and also was completely free via PlayStation Plus last month, so if you nabbed it, there's no excuse not to check it out. I try to recommend the PATHLESS to anyone who has a way to play it, because it really deserves so much more love than it's gotten in the months since release. From the creators of Abzu, this game takes some Zelda aesthetic aspirations and creates one of the most unique movement systems I've ever played. You traverse the landscape of a lonely island by shooting targets with your bow, in turn giving you boosts of speed that feel fluid and satisfying, especially when you shoot targets in the air, receiving a sort of jump through the air with the added speed. It's a great time attempting to chain together targets and navigate through the landscape attempting to reach your next destination. The world is a puzzle for you to solve, and as you solve it, encountering corrupted spirits and locked treasures, you fall more and more in love with everything developer Giant Squid is trying to accomplish here. It's a beautiful game and painfully underrated. Atelier Ryza 2 is probably the least known game on this list, and it's a damn shame. It's the perfect sequel, taking everything great about its predecessor, fixing their complaints, and releasing a title that one-ups the first in every single way. It takes everything great about JRPGs and pulls it all into one, including an expansive world, interesting story, unique battle systems, and just a fun experience for any fan of the genre. Control was acceptable on last-gen consoles. It's an absolute beefcake of a game, and for that reason, PC was really the only true place to play when it was released back in 2019, at least in my opinion. But now, the Ultimate Edition brings Control and all of its DLCs to the modern era, achieving a remarkably different version from the console's last iterations. Choosing between jaw-droppingly detailed RTX and 60 buttery smooth frames, both options here give you a fantastic experience of exploring the FBC with Jesse. Remedy are absolute juggernauts when it comes to ambition, and they completely hit this one out of the ballpark here. Back in February, I platinumed Miles Morales. Still, I continue to think regularly about how good this game is. I also went back and platinumed Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, and while I love that game as well, it further increased my appreciation for this game. They took all the great aspects of the original game, scraped off the fat, improved any lacking areas, and released this absolute gem that makes a superhero nerd like me squeal with joy. I love the story, I love Najee Jeter, the voice of Miles, I love how absolutely smooth the game feels on PS5, and the ray tracing, God, the ray tracing, it's just so beautiful. Also, I played the game exclusively on ray tracing performance mode, so you know I was feeling that 60 FPS glory while also admiring how absolutely gorgeous the game looked, even at 1080p. Insomniac continues to bless us on the PS5, and Miles Morales is one of the many reasons they're one of the best companies in the business. Returnal is the next-gen game that gamers have been looking for. There's plenty of other amazing games on the system, yes, but Returnal is the first game to take full advantage of every aspect of the PS5, and it shows every time you play. The DualSense is fully utilized, from the trigger resistance to the utilization of different positional motors in the controller. It also uses 3D audio, which I have needed on several occasions to solve environmental puzzles, and it was always awesome to realize. Also, I think it's safe to say this is by far the biggest roguelike game ever. Roguelikes are absolutely blowing up right now, and I'm so happy to see more and more devs work on them, because this is another home run. We're in a pandemic. Money is tight for a lot of people. You just spent $500 on a console, you may not want to necessarily shell out the money for games on top of that. The great thing about Warframe is that it's completely free, but it's also gotten an overhaul on PS5. Since launch, the devs have been committed to making the game the best it can be, and now there's a huge variety of missions because of it. There's also plenty to do solo or with friends, whichever suits your fancy. If you're looking for a fun action game, there's very little reason not to check out Warframe. The Yakuza franchise can sometimes be a daunting one. They're narrative-driven games that have really in-depth and intriguing stories. While Like a Dragon is an acceptable starting point, if you want a true low-risk way to try out the formula, play Judgment. This spin-off of the Ryu Gakutoku hit franchise, Judgment takes everything good about the Yakuza franchise and puts it in a nice simple package. If you like beat-em-ups, Japanese mafias, great stories, or any combination of the three, you'll certainly enjoy yourself here. In my humble opinion, the Nioh games are the best Souls games that aren't made by From Software. In the Nioh collection, you get both amazing games at their absolute best on PS5. If you haven't played either of these games yet, you absolutely need to. But even if you have, if you really enjoyed them, I would strongly encourage you to check these out. Included is all the DLC, as well as the graphical and performative enhancements you would expect out of a release like this. If you're looking for a brutal escape, there are few quite like the Nioh brothers. I know no one calls them that, but it felt right. Get it trending, folks. On my list of the top 25 best modern PC games, I listed Disco Elysium as number 19. It bested the likes of Undertale and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I have a lot of love for this game, and because of it, I'm overwhelmingly happy to play it on PS5 now. The biggest hurdle this game had to hop over to get this game to console was the dialogue. This is a game with very, very, very heavy amounts of text, and that can get cumbersome on a TV very quickly. With the Final Cut, everything is now voice acted, very well I might add, as well as new story content, all of that so that the game is much more suited for the port. It's one of the best RPGs ever made, and I love it with all my heart. I have done no research to back myself up on this, so don't quote me, but Valhalla might just be the biggest game ever made. I don't even really mean in terms of map size or story length, but just the massive amount of content. I feel like if there was a Guinness World Record for longest code for a video game, Valhalla would take the cake. There's so many systems and quest lines and components to this game that it really blows me away. Combining a rich story with an expansive playground to hack and slash your way through, Valhalla is a must-own for Assassin's Creed fans, or just RPG fans in general. Hitman 3 is perhaps the best assassination game ever made. With a sandbox full of opportunities and fun to be discovered, IO Interactive has created their best game yet, and it's absolutely fantastic. It almost feels like the first two installments in the World of Assassination trilogy were tests, because with their integration with this game and just the sheer crank up to 11 that this game provides, it really just makes their existence irrelevant beyond fueling Hitman 3's fire. No disrespect to those games, all respect to this one. For now, the devs are taking a break from Hitman to focus on their James Bond title, but I'd love to just see how far they could take this franchise in the future. The Pedestrian is unlike any puzzle platformer I have ever played. You play as a humanoid pictogram that can only travel by street signs and other similar diagrams. It's a wonderful game that knows its design, soundtrack, and animations to a T, and beautifully orchestrates it all together to make for an absolutely amazing time. It's been a long wait for this indie title, but its originality and charm are well worth it, and fans of puzzle games should totally pick this one up. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is the second best game of all time, according to Metacritic. Regardless of your feelings on that, the original Pro Skater games are absolutely fantastic. Fast forward to present day, Vicarious Visions continues to prove they can do no wrong by bringing us Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, now at its best on PS5. Not only does it run up to 120 FPS, it looks stunning on new consoles. If you didn't get a chance to play this when it originally came out, what are you waiting for? If you didn't even play the original Pro Skater titles, then there's no debate. You have to play the best skateboarding games ever made. I mean, it has Ultimate in the name, so I feel like I really don't need to say it, but Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate is truly the definitive Mortal Kombat experience, especially on PS5. To be honest, just talking about the game now makes me want to boot the game up and pull off some truly horrifying things to people. Also, the new movie was badass, so heck yeah, go Mortal Kombat! With a damn near overfilled roster and a ton of story content to sink your teeth into, quickly I might add because the loading times are insane on PS5, MK11 is a magnificent, gory game filled with fun. In terms of notable items here, I think the biggest thing about Crash 4 on PS5 is the help cards. Seriously, one of the things I loved most about ASTRU'S Playroom was how the activity cards and game help helped me platinum the game in 3 hours. Here with Crash 4, you have the same thing, allowing trophy hunters to get help finding collectibles by simply pressing a button, where the PS5 knows where you're at in the game and can help you without doing it for you. It may not seem too glamorous, but for people truly wanting to get the most out of their games, it's an absolute blessing. Not too many PS5 games have taken advantage of this, and I really hope we see more. Beyond the help and visual upgrades that come with this new version, Crash 4 is a fantastic platformer that you should absolutely play. My honorable mention for most hidden gem of the PS5 launch, Sackboy is truly an amazing game to play, especially with friends. Does the game do anything groundbreaking with the new technology? No. But it's pure joy messing around with people that make you happy, collecting bells or maybe even chucking them off the edge into the abyss. There's some challenging platforming, but never enough to truly distract from the fun. If you're looking for something to play with others, Sackboy is one of the safest bets there is. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm obsessed with Devil May Cry. If you haven't taken my advice to get this game yet, I'm very disappointed in you, but I shall attempt to once again. You kill monsters with badassery. It has a perfect mix of skill-based challenges and cinematic action sequences to keep your adrenaline high. It's got new features and enhancements on PS5 that make it the best place to play. It has hot boys. In other words, it's a damn near perfect game. Speaking of Yakuza, I decided to wait for the PS5 version of Like a Dragon, but honestly, I really wish I had played it sooner. For a franchise that used to be primarily beat-em-ups, this is one of the most fun RPGs I have ever played. First off, all the characters are full of charm, and I love that. The story itself is really well done, something I shouldn't be surprised about coming from Ryuga Gotoko's studio, and the side content is just superb. Chef's kiss, really. Also, the new combat absolutely rules. The game does a great job of converting to a turn-based style without leaving behind the soul of the Yakuza franchise, and it has a real amount of depth to it. The voice acting is also really well done in English and Japanese. Sorry guys, but I'm a sub guy for life. Give me that sweet Japanese goodness. So, Resident Evil Village was my most anticipated game of 2021, hands down. I started playing it right at launch, and I did not stop until I rolled credits. It sucks that I've been so busy, because I think about it all the time. While the Resident Evil franchise has a bit of a problem tying itself together at the moment, Village does a phenomenal job mixing what everyone loved about Resident Evil 4 and 7 and creating a beautiful fantasy horror action experience that any fan of either will for sure enjoy. Just beware of House Beneviento. For God's sake, beware. If someone were to ask me what the killer app for the PS5 is right now, even though it's not number 1 on this list, I would still say Demon's Souls. In terms of value and overall usage of what the PS5 has to offer over any other system, it truly is the game to experience. Besides all of the insane improvements Bluepoint has made to this PS3 game, it's given Demon's Souls new life. Not to say that it was a flop originally, but so many diehard Souls fans had never played due to the viral sensation Dark Souls being the first Souls game to really break out into the mainstream. Bluepoint has revitalized the game, touching up every little aspect and getting rid of virtually any and every flaw. It's tough as nails, but fair. It's filled with fantastical character and level design, and it's just a flat-out incredible experience from start to finish. My baby boy has been dethroned. That just tells you how good these last 2 games are. But as far as ASTRU'S Playroom goes, I still think every single person who owns a PS5 has to play this game. You have no reason not to. It's free, and it's already installed the second you turn the console on for the very first time. Not only is it a great way to test out your shiny new toy, but it's a masterpiece of a platformer in its own right, also including a ton of interesting PlayStation history encapsulating the past 25 plus years. Astro continues to shine every time he appears, and I hope it's not too long before we see him come again. Strive is the first Guilty Gear game I've ever played. That being said, I am absolutely in love with this game, and now the franchise because of it. This past generation saw fighting games really raise the bar in quality. Games like Mortal Kombat 11 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate thrived, while others, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, did not. Going then into the next generation, it's definitely a tough act to follow. But Guilty Gear Strive absolutely nails it in every single way. Where frames are king, the animations feel oh so fluid and crisp in the 2.5D fighter, as well as an expansive roster of unique and varied characters, something difficult to achieve nowadays. If you're looking for the best fighting game for your new console, it is absolutely, without a doubt, this one. It Takes Two is by far the best co-op game ever made. Throughout my time with the game, playing with my best friend, shout out to you Bagel, mwah, the game constantly refreshed its gameplay, always giving us new ways to work together and experience its incredible story. Everyone is lonely as hell right now. The world sucks. With It Takes Two, we have a way to connect with people in this pandemic, in ways completely unique to the game. The main characters, an estranged couple mistakenly transformed into dolls, must figure out how to become human again, and along the way rediscover what brought them together in the first place. Love. And no, I don't want to hear anything about that being cheesy. We live in a world today where love is gross and feelings shouldn't be felt. That's wrong. You should embrace love. It's one of the best feelings in the world. This game is a perfect example of that. Grab someone you care about, or someone you want to grow closer with, and play this game. It's not only an amazing experience, but the best game on the PS5. Thank you guys for watching. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more. What did you think of my picks? Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your favorite games on PS5 right now? I'm always down to have a discussion, but thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you all in whatever I'm doing next. Alright, see ya.